Good morning. Um, I hope everybody's doing well. I figured that I'll try to keep it as normal as possible. This may not happen every day, but it's kind of an easy thing to do to do a little review, kind of like we did in class, where you don't have a written quiz where you have to regurgitate terms onto a piece of paper. I did create, as you saw on the classroom, hopefully you've been there, some quizzes for each section. I've been working through them. For those of you who have missing quizzes, if you do, I'm working on those too. It's on my list. Okay, I have a long list. But I did make some quizzes for this chapter. I've got a quiz for chapter 9, section 1, section 2, and then section 3 and 4 together in one quiz, and that one's more of a matching style quiz. These, section 1 and section 2, are more like what you're used to. It'll be a quiz where I give you the combining form or the suffix, and you give me the meaning, and then there's a couple of word building activities or just, memorization type things at the end. And they're not for a grade necessarily. Just give it a try. If it goes well, great. If not, take it again. You can take it as many times as you want to. I just thought it might be a nice tool for you to get some practice in. I do have to thank Sarah Lyons and Eddie Andrews for the Quizlets that I've been posting. I know that Eddie had started some, and then when he found out Sarah had made some last semester, I went ahead and just basically poached her entire Quizlet catalog of Quizlets, which are there for your enjoyment. So thank you, Sarah Lyons. But as you can see on my screen, I've got the key for the first page of the chapter study materials, and that was kind of your assignment for yesterday. Today, go through this with me. Go through it on your own. Don't watch the video, whatever. But I'm going to go through this just real quick and give you kind of the practice. So if you don't want to see, better close your eyes. And then take the quiz, look at section 2, and then, we'll kind of continue this pattern. Hopefully it'll work out that we'll get through all of the things we need to get through. I know that we're kind of in a time crunch for those of you who are seniors to get through all the chapters. And so I'm going to be combining some lessons that I wouldn't normally combine, which might make them a little bit heavy. But since you're not taking a quiz over each single one, hopefully that'll reduce your workload just a little bit. So trying to be reasonable because I am a benevolent dictator, as you know. So let's start. So the top part of this page talked about some key terms and digestive system activities. Again, this is not an anatomy and physiology class, but these are important terms. So we talked about alimentation, which is just providing nutrition. Nutrition is that, gaining nutrients for growth, for generation of energy and other processes. Metabolism is all those chemical reactions. There's lots of definitions for metabolism. Generally, the best one is all the chemical reactions that take place in the body. Anything that happens falls under the category of metabolism. So if it's a chemical reaction, it's part of your metabolism. People hear that term and they think, oh, I've got a fast metabolism. Okay. That may be true in terms of energy use, but maybe you're not so fast at, growing new neuronal connections. And so your metabolism is slow there. So it's not just how fast you use energy, it's all the chemical reactions. As far as digestive system activities, ingestion, I just ingested one of my daughter's sausage and egg biscuits. She doesn't know, don't tell her. Digestion, right now my body is breaking that down and making it into chemicals that can actually be used by the cells. That's both mechanical and chemical. Absorption is going to pass across my digestive system into the lining and then into my bloodstream, and then eventually I'll poop. Gross, right? All right. As far as word parts go, if you don't want to see this part, you should probably not look at the screen. I mean, you can go along with me. I tried to make these documents so that you can, if you make a copy when you are on the classroom, you can type in your answers. If you are one who needs to print it, great. If just using the quiz that works for you, great. If you're going through piles of note cards, also great. Whatever works for you. And again, these quizzes are not going to be for a grade, but might be good practice. So amylo, that's where you say starch. And I'm not going to go through all of these because you can practice on your own, but things that, I don't think there's anything tricky. A lot of these, the ones with stars by them, are found on the sidebar because they're ones we've seen before. So amylo, lacto, which means milk, lipo, which means fat, proteo, which means protein, ose, which is sugar, and ACE, which is enzyme. Those are all ones from a previous chapter. Billy and Coley we've seen before. Glycosa we've seen before. This one, vago, which is vagus nerve. I put a little note in there that says that's a cranial nerve. You have 12 sets of cranial nerves that control various things. The vagus nerve is one of them that's involved with digestion, so that's why we included it. It also has a connection to your heart. Some people have what's called a vagovasal response. If you pass out after something scary or gross, or standing up too fast, that's oftentimes called a vagovasal response, where this nerve is involved. Viscera, we've talked about that before. It just literally means viscera, which is a reference to guts or your internal organs. Cirrho is orange yellow. You may have heard the term cirrhosis, which is specific to the liver. Basically what happens is it's liver damage, and it can be caused by a variety of things. Hepatitis is one of them. Alcoholism, drug use, exposure to toxic chemicals, things like that. All those can cause cirrhosis. And then D, honestly, if you can give me 2 out of the 4 of these, then you're in pretty good shape. Ation is an action or process. Orexia is appetite. You'll see in the word list in a subsequent section, anorexia, and if you remember, A and an both mean no or not. And so anorexia means no appetite. They use that term when we talk about anorexia nervosa to mean no appetite. And nervosa has to do with the fact that it's a condition that you kind of bring upon yourself. It's a mental problem. Pepsia is digestion, so you'll oftentimes see dyspepsia, which is bad digestion, or some people would refer to that as indigestion. So all those commercials you see for indigestion, like Pepto-Bismol or whatever, they're talking about dyspepsia on those. And we've already talked about OS and ACE. What I would expect for you to see on the quiz is all of the word parts. Okay, and then I'll probably have a question too about some of these terms up towards the top. They're good to know because you'll see them on the test for sure. One other thing, if you're not listening to the, what am I talking about? If you're not listening to the oral glossary or the audio glossary, you should probably check those out. It's kind of handy because you can play them. I tried to group them by section. I don't know if I did a good job or not. If I screwed up, just let me know. Send me an email and say, hey, you should have put this over here or whatever. I'm not real concerned. So as far as that goes, listen to those because it's not going to be my voice that you're used to, my beautiful, soothing voice that you listen to the terms with. When you're taking the spell and define portion, make sure you spell and define. I had a few people on the Chapter 8 test who did not spell or did not define. I don't know if that's because you didn't know it or because you just forgot. Make sure you're doing spell and define in those boxes where you can fill in. And again, I love y'all and I trust you not to Google anymore because it's obvious when you Google. Just don't. Give me what you know. I'm going to be pretty generous when it comes to grading these simply because I know that this is a new format and I switched it up on you halfway through the year. Actually, I didn't switch it up. Coronavirus switched it up. Thanks a lot. Anyway, I'm rambling. I hope that you all have a great Thursday. I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. If you have questions, I will be around all day today and until 2:30 tomorrow. And at 2:30 tomorrow, I am cutting it off and I'll see y'all on Monday because I'm done. Like I said, have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend and we'll reconvene on